And welcome to the Aries Moon Girl channel. Today I have a special treat for you guys, and that has to do with the Christmas present that I'm offering, and that is the birth chart reading. And in order for all of you to be prepared for tomorrow and let me know what type of reading you want, for those of you that are winning it, I'm gonna do a superpower reading now, and I'll follow it up with one love reading as well, and maybe one karmic reading, just so that you guys have an idea of what you can choose. And in order to give a better example and for you to understand how these readings actually work, I chose to take a celebrity birth chart, and in this case I chose Rihanna. Why did I choose Rihanna to start with, and why did I choose a superpower reading? So I have to be a bit candid and a bit personal, as I always am. Rihanna is one of the celebrities that has one of the closest charts to my chart. Very, very similar in a lot of ways. So we have a lot of things in common in the charts. The main things are the sun, the moon, Venus, then also the houses that are dominant, then also the Aries in the first house. So there's a lot of things that Rihanna has in her birth chart that are very similar to mine. And if you guys want to see my chart as well, I'll put a description to one of my initial videos where I was kind of explaining how superpower videos work, and I used my own birth chart as an example. Although there are some differences in my birth chart versus Rihanna. And if you guys are interested to see the comparison, we could follow it up with a video. Just comment down below, and I'll do a comparison between the two charts, so you can see how little differences in placements make such a big difference in people's lives. But before going into this, let's go into Rihanna's birth chart, and let's go into analyzing exactly what makes her Rihanna. There are 5 things that I look into the birth chart when I look at someone's superpower. The first thing that we'll look at, and I'll make this kind of an astrology lesson for you guys. The first thing is, where do the most planets fall into a birth chart? And looking at Rihanna's, I'll try to open it on my computer and maybe you'll see. I don't know if you guys can see it very well. Most of her birth chart planets are in this upper part of the horoscope. So the upper part, the chart is kind of split between 4 quadrants. And each quadrant has kind of a mission in this world. The first quadrant has to do a lot with self-discovery. The second quadrant, the one down there that goes from Cancer to Leo to Virgo, has a lot to do with the discovery of your environment, your family, children, house, day-to-day activities, routines. And the third quadrant has to do with personal, interpersonal relationships, of intimacy, relationships of just partnership, society relationships when you get to Sagittarius. And then the fourth quadrant that starts with Capricorn, which is usually a misunderstood sign. The fourth quadrant has to do with the area of life of self-development, of finding your purpose, your spiritual purpose, your purpose for humanity, that has to do with what you bring to the world at a larger scale. And if you would look at most of the artists in this world, you would notice that most of them have this area really emphasized, the fourth quadrant. Many astrologers that don't get fully into this would say, oh, someone with planets there is a bit more introverted, which is not really the truth, because a person with planets there kind of needs to express themselves through their purpose in the world. So And Rihanna definitely has one of the focuses in her chart are on the 11th house, the 12th house, and the 9th house, which the 9th house is still in that third quadrant that has to do with society. So definitely Rihanna's focus in her chart has to do with that area of life where she kind of needs to give to society. She kind of needs to give to humanity. She kind of needs to find her purpose in this life. So that's the first thing that we look at. Which are the houses that are really predominant in her chart? In this case, as I mentioned, it's the 9th house, the house of Sagittarius, the house of higher learning, the house of foreign lands, the house of spirituality, and finding a purpose in life. So purpose is a big thing for Rihanna. I don't know if many people go into this, but really finding more about the world and finding that spiritual meaning of life, that's a very important thing for her, definitely from the birth chart. The other area of focus is the 12th house, where she has her moon and Venus, and her north node as well. And that is an area that also has to do with spirituality and giving. That's the house of Pisces, and that's the house of, you know, like foreign lands again, but also belief, spiritual belief. It's also the house of pouring into others, or being a bit isolated in your energy, but you giving out energy to others. And we'll go into her planets from there. And her Sun and her Mercury are in the 11th house. The 11th house that has to do again with large groups of people, networks, friends, gatherings, large masses of people are in the 11th house. So this could also mean that she is present in large masses of people, and she has her concerts and all of this, and she's that's also the house of the internet, and she's also very good at marketing herself. So there's a lot of things there. So these are the houses that are predominant, but there's one more house that's important, and that's the first house, where she has her Jupiter. The Jupiter is also one of the co-rulers of her natal Pisces Sun, and the Jupiter is in the first house. Plus Venus and the Moon are really tight. They are at the end of the 12th house, but they are really close to the first house. And basically, although they sit in the 12th house, they maybe even have a bit more impact on the first house. So the first house has to do with how you come across to people, what people see from you the first time. So with her Jupiter there, people see definitely her larger than life persona. This Jupiter magnifies things, and Jupiter kind of plays in that area again where we were talking about of spirituality, of purpose, of spreading a message. So she's an inspirational leader of some sort with this type of placement, and that Jupiter just magnifies her presence, probably, you know, like expands her vibe. You feel her from the distance, you see her from the distance. She just fills up the room, because Jupiter just magnifies everything and takes so much energy. And plus having Venus there from the 12th house, making the aspect to the first house, so to the rising, right on the cusp, Venus and the Moon. What you see first is beauty. I have a video on the signs of beauty, and there I'm talking about the Venus-Moon conjunction that makes someone very pleasant to begin with. You just love being in their company. They just say the right things. They kind of read the room in the right way, and they know how to say things to come across pleasant. And then when you have both Moon and Venus in your first house, or impacting your rising sign, you come across as so pleasant and so beautiful, like physically beautiful. Venus is beauty, and is beauty in a very ethereal way in this case with the Moon. So it magnifies beauty with her. Although it's happening in the sign of Aries, everything, having Jupiter, having the moon, and having Venus there makes her very, very pleasant. So I'm sure probably over the internet she comes across as nice, but being actually in her presence might be like really magnetizing. You might be like blinded by how beautiful and how her aura, like she will probably fill up the room and you would just feel like a king in her presence. I think that's the kind of the vibe that she gives across. Written down here what I usually look into superpower reading. What sign is the what sign and what house is your sun sign placed in? And for Rihanna, this is in the 11th house in Pisces, a 0-degree Pisces. So Rihanna, as I said, like myself, she is Pisces Sun. Pisces Sun, you probably know something about it. It's very... Pisces Sun is very dreamy. Pisces Sun has dreamy goals for this life. Pisces Sun is artistic. Pisces Sun is hard to catch. It's that fuzzy, ethereal energy that you cannot put your hand on and grasp exactly. And you're meant to develop into your sun sign in this lifetime. And it's hard to say with Pisces, because Pisces, you're meant to develop into that ego. Sun is also the ego, but then it's also the death of the ego. So once you develop into a Pisces Sun, actually you develop into less ego, because Pisces is the 0 ego sign. So if you look at Rihanna, what has happened over the years with her, and the fact that people are making fun that she's not not putting out any albums anymore and all of this, what happens with the Pisces Sun after a certain age especially is they start feeling like all of it is in vain. And this is a secret that I'm gonna tell to you guys. The secret of, okay, I got fame, I got success, but it's, yeah, the secret of I got fame, I got success, but it's all for nothing. Like Pisces really is a deconstructive sign. So you might see this a bit in Rihanna's energy by her not putting so much effort into things. She just keeps to be herself. She's authentic like any Aries ruled person. And she's very creative and beautiful, and she cares about a lot of things that have to do with beauty and art and creation, but she doesn't have the drive anymore to keep going. That has to do with her Pisces Sun. The other thing about the Sun is to look at what aspects are being made to the Sun and what house it is in. First of all, the Sun is in the 11th house, so the house of Aquarius, the house of internet personalities, the house of leading masses, the house of making a change, the house of also being pretty lucky in life, attracting luck and good fortune pretty easily. So when the Sun is placed there, or when any good planet is placed in the 11th house, you'll find it way easier to attract luck into your life. So she definitely has Aquarian vibes to that Sun as well, for the fact that it's placed in the 11th house. But as you will see in most of the charts, there's things that repeat themselves and kind of confirm that lesson. So she has a sextile also with Uranus and Saturn coming from Capricorn, from her 9th house. So she has an exact sextile coming to her Sun, so that aspect, which kind of again reinforces. So both Saturn and Uranus are ruling planets of Aquarius. So she gets again those vibes of her Sun kind of needs to develop in something very unconventional. It kind of needs to influence people in a very unconventional way. It kind of needs to be opening the ways, opening the ways of new thinking, of for a large group of people, like in a non-conventional, revolutionary way. So her music, her approach to everything is very Aquarian as well, not only Piscean. And also she has another sextile to her Jupiter that's at the end of Aries. And again, this kind of signifies the fact that she has a Piscean influence to the sun and she has an Aquarian influence. So that's her sun, so her mission, purpose in this life, her trajectory, and everything that has to do with her role in the world has very much to do with a higher purpose of spirituality, of showing new ways, new paths to the people, of achieving success pretty easy, but not living for success, but living for just the creation of something that's very different and very unique in a way. And one thing you cannot say about Rihanna, and that's that she's not unique. She's extremely unique. So this is where we're looking at the sun, and that's her mission in life. The second aspect that we'll look at is the moon, and where is the moon placed, in what sign and what house. When I talk about the moon, usually I talk about the fact that the sun is our purpose in life, where we're heading towards what we're trying to achieve in this life, but then the moon is actually how we instinctively feel on the inside, what we need, what makes us feel safe, what makes us feel protected, and how we are in very close relationships to those around us, and how we want to live our life, how we want to live our everyday life. And she has her moon in Aries, as do I, and she has her moon conjuncting her Venus. The moon conjuncting Venus, in this case, with the martial influences of Aries, is a bit of a paradox. I have the same thing. I have the moon conjuncting Venus, but I also have Mars there, so it's even stronger. A moon in Aries is a bit contradictory to a sun in Pisces. So the sun in Pisces kind of needs to be a bit more for itself, kind of needs to be a bit more in the background. So when your outer personality needs to be a bit more reserved, but your inner self needs to affirm itself so bad. Aries moon cannot sit still. Aries moon cannot not achieve something in this life. Aries moon needs to be at the front. Aries moon needs to win at something, needs to achieve something, needs to overcome its condition, needs to challenge itself, needs to go to the next level and always achieve something. But the paradox is, when you have a Pisces sun that feels like, oh, it's all purposeless in this life, why are we bothering with achieving material things, because life is so much more. But your Aries moon kind of says, no, we need to get this going, we need to achieve more, we need to. What happens very often is that you might shift from one goal to the other, and this is happening a bit with Rihanna as well. So she started with music, and what has developed with time was makeup, fashion, so important, now skincare, and all of this has to do with beauty, has to do with Venus. So her moon feels the need to grow and develop, and it feels the need to grow and develop and focus so much on beauty. Beauty is essential for her through having this combination. But at the same time, her sun sign kind of gives up on goals along the way, because it feels like, okay, we've done this, we achieved this, like let's go on to the next thing. And that's very Aries as well. Let's go on to the next thing, let's do the next thing. So Rihanna definitely feels compelled to come up with the next thing, and she kind of feels compelled to be true to herself, both because of Aries. Aries, I told you, Aries stands for authenticity. The most important thing for an Aries moon is to be authentic and to do what they want to do, to follow their own passions, to follow their own truth. It's more important than anything else. And because it's there with Venus, her own truth has to do with beauty. That's why you understand that she needs to focus on beauty. Okay, the moon though is in the 12th house. Although it makes aspects, it's almost on the rising. I told you I would talk about moon in this case, both in the 1st house and in the 12th house. In the 1st house, it kind of just makes her feel the world around her, makes her be very in the moment with people, very much in tune with people, very good at talking to them. And I'm sure she has that vibe because it's right on the cusp, so it really plays into her 1st house. But it still plays a bit into her 12th house. And 12th house there has to do with loss of energy as well, with sometimes depression. Moon in the 12th house has to do with you feeling a bit misunderstood by the world, or a bit lost in your own emotions, or a bit overwhelmed in your own emotions. It has to do with addictions as well, guys, because 12th house has to do with drugs and all of this, and alcohol. And to be honest, I think this is pretty clear with Rihanna, or it's pretty visible. If her moon would have been, or her planets would have all just been in the 1st house, maybe this wouldn't have been an issue. But with her moon there, her emotions, she's prone to addictions. She's prone to using substances or things to kind of compensate and not make her feel depressed. Although, keep in mind, Aries moon is a very strong sign that can take itself out of anything. That's one of the good parts. But when it's in the 12th house, it has again a bit of that Piscean loss of energy and loss of emotion, loss of loss of courage at sometimes. Although I told you it's very close to the 1st house, so it kind of plays in between worlds. She's very strong. Okay, so the 4th point that I look into in a superpower reading is where the South Node is and where the North Node is. And Rihanna has her South Node in Virgo in the 6th house, and she has her North Node in Pisces in the 12th house. South Node has to do with our purpose in life, where we, South Node has to do with our past life, where we're coming from, what we have interiorized in our past lives, even in our childhood, in the beginning of our soul journey. It has to do with what comes easiest for us and where we can manifest ourselves intuitively a lot easier than what we need to develop in this life. The North Node is that area of life that we want to absolutely conquer in this life. And it's a bit of a push and pull here with the South Node and the North Node. These are karmic placements. These are not really planets. These are karmic points in a birth chart that kind of give you the indication of what you kind of need to do in this life, what you kind of need to achieve, what comes easiest for you, and where you're needing to go towards. And with Rihanna, it's a bit more tricky because she kind of got in this life a lot of support for her North Node. So she was born a Pisces, which kind of made it easier for her to already kind of tap into her purpose for this lifetime. But let's go into what the karmic node of what the karmic South Node tells about her past life. So she is the queen of every day. with South Node in Virgo in the 6th house, you're very good at doing very pragmatic things. You're very good at doing mundane things, at doing practical things. I would think that she's probably good at taking care of herself, her health, having a routine, maybe even the beauty routine that I'm talking about, the skincare thing, having a lot to do with maintaining your body, maintaining your health, maintaining the everyday life around you very in a good order. So people that have the South Node in the 6th find it very easy to do everyday things, like, I don't know, maybe sewing, maybe doing exercise, maybe taking care of your skin, maybe executing something, ordering something, taking care of your home, taking care of chores and things like that. So it's pretty hard to see Rihanna doing this now, but I would assume that in her childhood and in things like that, I don't know so much about her, but I would assume she says she's into fashion. I would even see her sewing her own things, or, you know, like organizing her own things, so she looks really put together, really Virgo energy of keeping everyday things under control and really executing well on them. Nevertheless, her purpose in life has to do with moving towards spirituality, moving towards that 12th house, moving towards Pisces. And she got a lot of help, as I told you, as her sun, actually the one that's driving her to her purpose, is in Pisces. So you will see, I would assume with Rihanna further down in her life, if she really follows that path, I would assume that she will become a lot more spiritual. It's probably she's too rooted in the mundane and the concrete and in things that have to do with the body, with the house, with fashion, with all of this. But I would assume that Rihanna at one point will transform and will focus more on spirituality, and through her sun and through that Pisces, Aquarius influence, kind of take that role of a spiritual type of leader, of a spiritual person, of a person that's more reclusive in how she puts herself out there, or if she puts herself out there, it's in order to help others develop their spirituality. This is yet to come. We have our whole life to develop towards our North Node, and that is kind of our inner depth, the most wished for thing, but the thing that doesn't come so easy for us. So it's way easier to stay where our South Node is. It's way easier for Rihanna in this case to focus on pragmatic things. But I think with time, she will be put in situations where she will need to become more spiritual in order to find herself and in order to understand herself. And her sun definitely is helping. Okay, and the 5th thing that I'm looking at in a birth chart has to do with Venus and Mars, the push and pull. Venus is what we love in this life, what we naturally attract to us, what we kind of don't need to put effort, but we attract it to us, and we just love being around it. It comes so natural. And Mars is where we put our energy to achieve something. And Rihanna has a fiery Venus and a fiery Mars. I have the same Venus as her. She has her Mars, nevertheless, in Sagittarius in the 9th house, which is a bit different than mine in Aries. But let's start with the Venus. So I told you about the Venus. Venus is conjunct the moon. So for her, with the conjunction, again, take into account that anytime we have a conjunction, we need to think of the influences that we're getting to that planet. So she has also the emotional side of Cancer coming from the moon. So she values Aries traits, but she values also Cancer traits. So she values emotion, she values passion, she values boldness, she values authenticity. So she values also putting herself out there, and being bold, being courageous. With the Venus being in the 12th house, she also values those Piscean traits again. So a bit more of the spiritual side, a bit more of the magic side of life. So it's a mixed Venus, but we need to take into account that it impacts the 1st house, and that is in Aries. So those are the strongest things out there. I have a video about Venus in Aries in general and how Venus in Aries expresses itself, and you will see that people that achieve a lot of fame usually have a Venus in Aries, because Venus in Aries kind of combines that push and pull in it. So Venus is Libra Taurus planet, but it has the Mars influences of Aries, so it goes after what it likes. So definitely it's great to have a Venus in Aries, but then she has her driver, the Mars force, is in another fire sign, and it's in Sagittarius. It's in the 9th house. So Rihanna, again, the spiritual side. Rihanna really needs to focus on finding out the meaning of life. So definitely someone with Mars in the 9th house in Sagittarius needs to explore life, needs to travel, needs to understand things, needs to read, needs to understand different cultures, needs to find its spiritual purpose. And with Mars being there, she really needs to go after this, and she needs to dig deeper into maybe religion, maybe spirituality, maybe different cultures. She needs to she values that, she really appreciates that. And I don't know if she comes across so much as sharing that, but she goes after what she believes in. She's pretty fiery. She goes after achieving her goals, but it's always with a larger purpose. Sagittarius kind of goes for the larger purpose of going after things. And her Venus, although it's Venus and it only attracts to it because it's in Aries and it has that Mars quality to it, it kind of goes after things as well. So she's a go-getter in many things, in many ways, and she values passion more than anything. So she will always lead with passion, and the passion is related to beauty, the passion is related to knowledge, the passion is related to emotion, and the passion is what drives her on her biggest purpose. One other thing that I was saying about planets making aspects, look at her Mars. Her Mars is conjunct both Saturn and Uranus and Neptune. So again, those influences that have to do with Pisces, Aquarius, and a bit of Capricorn, because Saturn is also Capricorn. So there's a theme coming back for her always. It has to do with this unusual way of achieving things for a higher purpose, for a higher goal, in a non-conventional way. That's kind of the only thing that makes sense for her to achieve things for that higher goal. And again, you will see there is actually a square kind of happening here between her moon and her Venus, then to her planets that are conjuncting Mars. So again, it's a push and pull between those. Or in long, this was my analysis of Rihanna's Superpower. This is the Superpower chart reading that one of you guys can win. I'll come back with other variations of chart readings that I do. I find this one the most important because it really focuses on everything you need to know on what you need to achieve on this planet, where at least my Aries Moon feels like that's the purpose of everyone, kind of knowing what we're here for and what we need to achieve in this lifetime. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Write me down below your comments on Rihanna and how you find her. If you agree with the comments that I made, and yes, write me down below if you have seen my free chart reading offer and what type of chart reading you would like to win. And I'll be announcing this tomorrow on Monday, so you still have time to comment down below if you want to win a free reading. For this, you just need to go to my Instagram page, Aries Moon Girl, my Facebook page, Aries Moon Girl, and also this YouTube page, and just subscribe to all of them and leave a comment, and then you automatically